Trying to trick me, trying to block the camera. Jeez.
Yeah. Alright, number one was one of the ones that took a little bit longer. We got a piece of cardboard that we're going to make a box out of. It tells you that the box with no top is going to be constructed from a piece of cardboard whose width measures X and whose length is 5 more than that. Okay, so there's what a piece of cardboard measures. We're going to make the box by cutting squares out of the corners and folding up on those. And it tells you that the squares you're going to cut out of the corners are 3 inches each. So you're cutting 3 by 3 out of each corner. Like that. Okay, so this was originally X plus 5. We just cut 3 inches off of both sides, so we cut 6 inches off. So what was X plus 5, now subtract 6 from that. Not right now.
Tomorrow?
They got a test review.
You're going to be done 5 years this week?
Oh.
Alright.
Come back then. So it was X plus 5, and I took 6 off. Now it's X minus 1. So my box there will be X minus 1. Okay? On the width, whichever one you want to call that, you took 3 off and 3 off, so it was X. Now it's X minus 3. Okay? Volume is length times width times height. There's your length and your width. What is your height? How much are we folding it up? What are we cutting out of the corner? 3. Very good, Zane. So our height's 3. So we've got 3 times X minus 1 times X minus 3, and it tells you that the volume is 378. Okay, so to start working on that, I'm going to multiply those two binomials first. X squared minus 3x and minus 1x is minus 4x plus 3. Now distribute your 3 to it. 3x squared minus 12x plus 12 is equal to 378. I'm trying to get this thing in standard form, so I'm going to subtract the 378 from both sides. So that gets me 3x squared minus 12x. 12 minus 378 was negative 360. Okay, and we got to solve that thing by factoring. Easiest thing for me to do is to take a GCF out, so I'm going to divide the whole thing by 3. That left me with x squared minus 4x minus 120. Something's wrong somewhere. Oh, this x minus 3, we took 3 off both ends. So that should have been x minus 6. That was bad. So that's going to make that be minus 6x and minus 1x, which makes this a minus 7x right here. So it turns that one to a minus 21x. Then it makes the back side be plus 6, because negative 1 times negative 6. So this will be 6. And then 3 times 6 will make that 18. But that negative 360 is still right. Alright, so now we're dividing all that by 3. Again. So it's x squared minus 7x minus 120 is equal to 0. We talked about having a factor of 3 out in front of there the other day. We set our factors equal to 0. 3 doesn't equal 0. So that's your dummy answer. So you don't have to worry about 3 equaling 0. But we do have to factor the trinomial. We need to find the factors of negative 120 that add to negative 7. I hesitated, but I showed this to first period because I don't like it. But it is a humongous time saver. And I never knew that you could do this. If you're trying to find the factors of something, like right now we need the factors of negative 120. Every time I do this class, I list them all, right? 1 times 120, 2 times 60, 3 times 40, like that. You can go to the graphing part of your calculator, hit your y equals button, whatever it is you're looking for the factors of, you put that divided by x. And then go look at your table and it lists all the factors.
Whoa.
A student in Algebra 2 showed me that. We were factoring and I was trying to do something and help him, teach him, and he kept pushing y equals, and I was finally yelled at him, stop, we're not graphing. He said, no, this is a way to cheat. And he showed me that and I was like, blew my mind. So do that real quick. Hunter's working on it. Find out what factors of negative 120 add to negative 7. Okay, now turn it to a negative 120. I think you just got to type it all over. And hit second graph. Table, there you go. Alright, so he's got 1 and negative 120, 2 and negative 60, 3 and negative 40, 4 and negative 30. We're looking for negative 7. Whoa, there it was, 8 and negative 15, right? So I'm going to have x plus 8 times x minus 15 is equal to 0. Now there's only one of those that matter to me, because remember I'm finding dimensions of a box. If I said x plus 8 equal to 0 and solve for x, I get negative 8. I can't have a box that's negative 8, can I? So this one doesn't matter to me. X minus 15 equals 0 gets me x is equal to 15. So I know the width of my box is 15. It said the length was 5 more than that. So what's 5 more than 15? 20. There you go. That's C. Alright, number 2 is a sum of cubes. If you need to make a note there by that, 729s cube's a perfect cube and 1's a perfect cube. To do a cube root, if you don't remember, if you don't know, on your calculator, you hit math and go down to 4. Then type in 729 and it'll tell you that the cube root of 729 is 9. Cube root of s cubed is s. So our A is 9s. Our B, the cube root of 1, is 1. Plug it in your sum of cube patterns. A plus B. A squared, square the 9 and the s, minus A times B plus B squared, which was 8. Alright, 3, 4, and 5 all say factor by grouping, and there are, I know at least 5 questions on this test that say factor by grouping. So just get ready, you're going to have a lot of them. Factoring by grouping, where you got to split them in 2 by 2s and all that kind of stuff. On 3, we got 7b plus 7x minus b squared minus bx. So we're splitting those, grouping them. Why do we know to do that? Directions told us to. What's the GCF of the first group? 7. Take that out, leaves you with a b plus an x. What's the GCF of the second group? Negative b. Good. Take that out. Leaves you with a b plus an x. Your answer is what you got twice times what you took out, which is D.
D.
D is in dangerous. Danger zone. Daffodils. Dinosaur. Good? You're out there, Dustin. Hey, Grace chuckled. That's always good.
You said it was just the situation.
Alright, I don't like S's and T's. This number 4's got them. It says factor by grouping. So I do that. First parentheses, what's the GCF?
M.
M.
Negative.
M squared.
M squared. Good. Because they're both squared. So we take that out. I got an S left and a minus T left. Okay, what's the GCF of the second parentheses?
B.
B.
What kind of B?
Negative
Negative.
B. Oh,
Good, good.
every time.
This negatives get makes S minus T. And M squared minus B is B.
I don't like how they give us some, like on the same one, they have one that's plus and one that's minus.
Yeah, trying to trick you.
Yeah. It's not cool.
Not cool, Robert Frost. It's okay, Grace. You don't have to know why I'm talking about Robert Frost. Alright, we're on 5. X cubed plus 5x squared plus 4x plus 20. The direction's still safe. Factor by grouping. So put your parentheses up there. What's the GCF of the first group? Hello.
X squared.
Good job. They do x plus 5. What's the GCF of the second group?
4.
4.
Ain't no negatives that time when I got it.
Makes it all about those positives. Now, there's not an option on the choices, so they couldn't trick you. But remember, this doesn't go farther because it's a plus sign. If it's a minus sign, it would. There is difference of squares, but there's no plus sum of squares. Plus of squares. That would have been silly. Alright, number 6, we finally got a different type of factoring, but it's still going to involve grouping in it indirectly.
Emma Bailey, report to the junior high office. Emma Bailey, report to the junior high office.
Hello. 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 She's missing. Alright, so just got 3 terms to start with on this. I'm looking first off, I always see if there's GCF and there's not. 13's prime, 13 will go to 6, so there's no GCF. So I'm going to do my A times C. 6 times 6 is 36. I need the factors of 36 that add to 13. 9 and 4, Sir Zane is correct. Now, I can't just write this as x plus 9 and x plus 4 because my A is 6. So that means I got to do grouping, which is why I said earlier we're still going to have grouping. Took the 13 out, put the 9 and the 4 in.
Okay.
Now here we go to like the other problems. What's the GCF of that first parentheses?
3x.
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 Divide them both by 3x, and you got 2x plus 3. What's the GCF of 4x and 6?
2.
2x plus 3. Oh, let's just erase it. Step away from the car. That was B, as in body slam. That was a new one. I hadn't used that one yet. Just once.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I would never hurt Michael.
Alright, what do you think about number 7? Is that factored, yes or no? Yes, it is. Very good. Can't take anything out of those parentheses. There's no GCF there. Yes, that one is factored.
Yeah.
Y'all.
God.
Number 8.
Michael.
64 q to the 6th. 144 q cubed. I struggled saying q cubed this morning. Maybe I'll be better now. Plus 81. Alright, so this factor completely. Is there a GCF? Give you a hint. Look at the choices. If you're trying to decide if you need to take anything out on the choices, are there any of them that just have something stuck out in front? No, so there's no GCF, right? Okay, no GCF. So my options now. I could do A times C and factor it by grouping. But when I look at the choices, like I told you to, I notice that A and B are both saying it's a perfect square. They got the binomial squared, right? So I'm going to check and see if it's a perfect square trinomial. What's the square root of 64q to the 6th? What times itself will make 64q to the 6th? 8q third. Good job. First period struggled with that. Square root of 8 and 1 is 9. So both of those are perfect squares. The last thing you got to check is when you multiply these, Is it half of that? 8 times 9 is 72. Is that half of 144? Yep. So we got 8q cubed, a plus sign, because that one's a plus, 9 squared, which is B.
Number 7 was A, right?
Number 7 was 8, yes ma'am. Alright, numero nueve, number 9, factor by grouping again. MA plus A plus M plus 1, group. What's the GCF of that first group? Looks like. Yep, I think about what you said. You said A. Leaves you with M. And what's here?
A.
Oh, you took the A out. What's A divided by A?
1.
You got it, Sister Sue. Alright, what's the GCF of M plus 1?
Why is there a plus in front of him?
It was part of the problem. That's just the way I put my parentheses.
Um,
You can move it over. It looks funny, I know. I'm sorry. And that would be C. As in Caitlin. So that's the only C.
huh?
Case. Caleb.
My name's Grant.
Grant.
Yeah, my name's Chris.
Forgive me. The basketball coach didn't know my name.
And you've been in basketball
Grant.
since the summer?
Yeah, on my locker, my name tag says Grant Quantum.
Sad. Why don't you tell them what your name is?
Oh, they know. They do it as a joke now.
What?
You answered it right?
Yeah.
Ew, trash can over there. Go that way. Go that way. Did you put it up by way or that way?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Alright, on 10. Trying to see if there's a GCF.
4.
So, good.
Z squared.
Good. Look at the choices. So you got a 4z squared in a couple of them. Zane is correct. That is your GCF. There's 6 divided by 4 is 9. Subtract on your exponents when you're dividing. Z to the 6 divided by z squared is z to the 4th. 72 divided by 4, that is 18. Z to the 4th divided by z squared is z squared. 32 divided by 4 is 8. And we took that whole z squared out. Okay, now there's not a choice that looks like that, so I know that that trinomial must factor farther. So I got to do 8 times c, 9 times 8, 72. Factors of 72 that add to 18.
Six and 12.
The factors of 72 that add to 18. Okay, they got them 6 and 12. So now I can't just write z plus 6 and z plus 12 because that's not a 1. So I got to do the grouping stuff. So I got 9z to the 4th plus 6z squared plus 12z squared plus 8. Here we go, grouping again. There is a ton of factoring by grouping on this test. What's the GCF of that first group?
3Z squared.
Z squared.
Good job. 3z squared.
Testing on.
9 divided by 3 is 3. Z to the 4th divided by z squared is z squared. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And we took that whole z squared out. What's the GCF of 12? Good. 4. Leaves you with 3z squared plus 2. So, we got 3z squared plus 2. 3z squared plus 4. That seems weird. Is that right?
Why? That's all here.
Because I got 3z squared twice, I guess. And then don't forget to bring down your 4z squared.
That's gonna get.
Is that a right choice?
C.
C. As in cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
C.
That makes me chuckle.
Hard.
Challenging.
I've been focused on it all day.
I mean, doofuses are coloring and playing games, and you've got like the old school game that I had when I was a tot. Played it.
Dad beat it earlier. I don't even know how. He got all the
What is he playing?
Is it got water in it? Is that what
Yeah,
it
my
is?
little game thing. I get the little rings on the
That's what we had when I was a tot.
Rings on the boat.
A tot?
I don't know. Kyle.
Some people had those. I had a rock and a stick, so you know.
So did I.
But I played kick the can when I grew up.
Yeah, me and Mike grew up playing some can.
We were lucky
Kick the
to
bucket
just
when I
can.
grew
I
up.
made lizards too.
Cans started coming by back in the day.
Cut up lizards.
Keep looking at that.
Next to grass and
Alright, there's two weird ones. Shh. There's two weird ones on the test. So that means you're gonna have weird ones on your test.
Weird what?
In fact, they're weird. It's just a weird problem. This is one of them. Alright, first thing you need to notice on this is that there's 4 terms. Every single, and this is silly, but this is the truth about this test. Every single one of them that's 4 terms that you were supposed to factor by grouping said factor by grouping.
Yeah.
Does the directions for this one say factor by grouping?
No.
So it's not a factor by grouping problem. Reason why, if you look at putting these two together, you can take a W out of that. Be W plus 20. Can you get a W plus 20 here? No. Even if you reorder stuff, it's not going to work factor by grouping.
Is that 20 W?
Yes. So what you've got here, that I underlined, that part of it is a perfect square trinomial.
And then you put that on the outside of parentheses.
So this will be square root of W squared, square root of 100. And I have that twice. Now I'm ready for what Keston said, minus Z squared. Okay, that still doesn't look like a choice. What we've made now is funny looking, but it is a difference of squares. Because this is a perfect square, this is a perfect square, and that's a minus sign. Difference of squares goes with 1 plus, 1 minus, you square root them. We know the square root of Z squared. So what's the square root of W plus 10 squared? The square root of Z squared was Z, we just took the squared off. Square root of this, same thing, just take the squared off. That's it. Which looks like A. There's an Alaska.
That's what I got.
But just in case we're going to put it down there.
I think yeah, I got this.
You got a game though.
Tomorrow.
Today's Wednesday. Today's running together.
Brother's not kind of far away.
I don't know. We were playing softball last year. It's a long way to go.
So now that volleyball's over, what do you do?
Nothing until softball starts.
Yeah.
So you just go
Yeah.
there?
For about 10 minutes, but then I go to drive my bus. Some bus drive.
You have to go down there that early?
Yeah. She had to, there's always forms you have to fill out. I get to check, make
Every
sure,
day?
yes. I check, make sure all of it works and is safe and everything.
So you literally don't have a prep period?
Never.
How long do you pay for it?
Oh, probably about 10 minutes. Alright, we got a farmer making a fence-in area. We did one like that the day before yesterday, didn't we? Same situation here. He's got 280 meters of fencing, so that's going to be his perimeter. Perimeter is 280, so 280 is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. Take a 2 out of all that, and you know he's got length plus width has to equal 140. Okay, it says the total area he wants fenced is enclosed, might be a better word, is 4,000 square meters. That's area. Area is length times width. So length times width is 4,000. So we got to figure out what we multiply that gets us 4,000 and what we add that gets us 140. Okay, we struggled listing all those day before yesterday, that long problem, but look at your choices. Like choice A, does 100 times 40 make 4,000? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Does it add to give me 140?
Sure does.
Good, so none of the other ones would check. Choice B says 200 by 2. That just makes 400. It doesn't make 4,000, and when you add them, it gets you 202. It doesn't get you 140. So A was your correct no answer.
That confused me for so long because I was
Please
trying to
keep interruption. Playoff search will be for sale tomorrow, all day in the high school office or in the lobby from 12 to 1. Thank you.
What is it?
They're starting to play off football shows.
Oh my goodness. Really?
All right, when I did number 13 the first time, I forgot which class.
Oh my god.
They will be $15. Thank you.
Oh, that's just
I forgot which class I was in, because you could do this by division. Algebra 2 is taking a test today over stuff that has long division in it. So I did it that way. And then this morning I remembered that y'all haven't done y'all are not long division, y'all are factoring. So I had to redo it and do it by factoring, the way y'all got to do it. We got our little rectangle there. This one is 4x plus 1. Tells you that the area is 20x squared plus 37x plus 8. So I got to factor this. One of them is this, and to figure out the other one. Okay, so I do A times C. 20 times 8 is 160. I need the factors of 160 that add to 37. Is that the same one that we had earlier? No, it was 120 earlier. Factors of 160 that add to 37. Do that trick in your calculator if you need to. Y equals 160 divided by X. Look through there and figure out what adds to 37. Go to your table, second graph.
Oh.
Alright, now we're looking for ones that add to
32.
37.
32 and 35.
5 and 32, you got it, very good.
Wow.
So this is going to factor like 20x squared plus, I'm going to put the 5 first, 32x plus 8. Guess what? Factoring by grouping again. Whoa. What's the GCF of the first group? Shh. What's the GCF of the first group? 5x. You got it, sir. 5x leaves me with 4x plus 1. Well, unfortunately, that's the one they gave us, so we don't know enough to stop. What's the GCF of this group? This will tell you enough to stop.
4.
4. Take the 4 out, leaves you with 4. No, it's not 4. You tricked me. 8. Don't be tricking me. Leaves you with 4x plus 1. So 5x plus 8 would be the other factor, which was 8. Alright, problems like 14 look complicated, but they're really a lot shorter and easier.
Can you tell me what number 12 was?
Yes, sir. 12 was 8. 11, 12, 13 were all 8. Alright, on 14, what they've done is already started the grouping process for you. So you just have one little step to finish it, just writing the answer out of it.
Okay, I was confused.
You'll get it. We're fixing to look at it. So this is like where they are. You can't read that. Yeah, it is. So what they did, do I have one where we've grouped lately that we can read?
You think so?
Right here. Okay, so started here, we put it into 2 by 2 groups, and then took a GCF out and saw what was left, took a GCF out and saw what was left. This is where that problem started. So what we did here was wrote our answer by what we had twice times what we took out. So on that one that we're looking at, what we had twice, what we took out. Which was B, as Keston said. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's We didn't get that far. 16 around.
Alright, 15, factoring completely. Since the choices, 3 of the choices show a GCF, I'm betting there's a GCF. A and B say it's 4z squared. What do you think? Yep. So we're going to divide that whole thing by 4z squared.
Yeah.
Okay, if I did 60z to the 8 divided by 4z squared, that's 15z to the 6th. Negative 16z to the 5th would leave me with negative 4z cubed. And then negative 16z squared would be negative 4. Okay, since A or B, neither one says that, that means that must factor farther. So I got to do the A times C trick. 15 times negative 4 is negative 60. I need the factors of negative 60 that add to negative 4. How about negative 10 and 6? Does that work? Yep. So I got 15 z to the 6th minus 10z cubed plus 6z cubed minus 4. Factor by grouping. When I have nightmares about factoring by grouping. First parentheses, 5z cubed is getting taken out. Did you have a 5's 3? Z cubed minus 2. Here I'm taking a 2 out. What I got twice. What I took out.
Is it B?
Don't forget the first thing we factored out. And there you go. And Kristen said it is B. I hope. Number 16, yes, you're correct window. Good job.
No, we got number 15.
Yeah, it's B. I said the wrong number? Oh, 16 is not B. My bad.
16.
Alright, on 16, we got a GCF. What do you see is your GCF on 16? Look at the choices. 3 of the choices got it.
B, 2B.
2B. 2B or not 2B? That is the question. 50 divided by 2. 8 to the 4th. I took the B out. 8 divided by 2. B squared. Okay. Now, no choices say that. That's got a minus sign. And the binomial there are both perfect squares. So that's a difference of squares. That means one's going to have a plus. One's going to have a minus. Square root. Square root. That's all. That's A. $17. You think that's factored or not?
No.
No, it is not. Because both of those sides, Keston's correct, still has an M minus 2. They started it, they just didn't finish it, so it's not factored. So you would pick no for number 17.
That's what I got.
Last page. 18, factor by grouping. Shocker, we got another factor by grouping. GCF of the first group's T. Leaves me with T plus 5. What's the GCF of the second group? 8. Thank you, sir. Rutledge leaves me with T plus 5. I got a T plus 5 twice. And I factored out a T plus 8, which is B. As in boy. 19 is a difference of squares. The first term is perfect square. The last term is perfect square. And it's a minus sign. So means we're going to have one with a plus, one with a minus. Square root of 64y to the 4th is 8y squared. Square root of 49 is 7.
So
D is correct, as in dog.
Which one?
19. Are y'all behind, Phillips? What is the deal?
I missed that.
What'd y'all put?
I put A. I don't know what I did. Yeah, that was my fault.
Alright, the last unit that we did in this section was solving. The last lesson we did in this unit was solving. There's 3, and they're all on this back page. So 20 is the first one, says to solve. So I got 25t cubed minus 9t is equal to 0. So we got to factor it first off. So I'm going to take a t out. Leaves me with 25t squared minus 9. Now I know I got 1 0 as an answer. T equals 0. So I got a pretty good idea that it's A. The only other one that has a 0 is C, and that's the only answer. And I'm fixing to get some more answers out of this. So I got a good idea it's A, but I'll go ahead and finish it anyway. Difference of squares. 5t plus 3 and 5t minus 3. Set both of those equal to 0 and solve. 5t plus 3 is 0. Subtract your 3. 5t is negative 3. Divide by 5. There's negative 3/5. This will be the same except you're adding 3, so it'll be positive 3/5. So A was correctamundo. As in apple. Alright, remember a while ago I told you there were 2 weird ones. Number 21 is the second weird one.
Yeah, I did.
We got p minus q squared plus 20 times p minus q plus 100. Alright, this has just been one variable, like x squared plus 20x plus 100. We know how to factor. So that's what we're going to do on this. We're going to take p minus q, and we're going to set that equal to some random variable. So then we can factor it with just a normal variable, get our answer, and then go back and put the p minus q back in. Kind of like substitution a little bit. So instead of p minus q, I'm going to write x squared. Instead of p minus q, I got x. Now that's easy to factor. Factors of 100 that add to 20, that's 10 and 10.
Did you make that up?
No, I didn't make it up. I wish I had made something up. Now I have to be in a math book. That's my lifelong dream. Don't you want to be in a math book?
No.
Alright, but now I got to go back and rewrite it with the p and q. So instead of x, I got to put a p and a q in there. So p minus q plus 10 squared, which is A. Yep. Alright, 22 is another solving one, but it's already ready to solve. Okay, all you gotta do is set each of those equal to 0. If x minus 9 equals 0, you get 9. If x plus 6 equals 0, you get negative 6. So that one, 22, would be A. Zane, you still have you've already packed yours up? You have? It's okay. I was just going to tell you the last 3 answers real quick.
I got one.
Okay. Fix it. What did you say, Custom?
That since it's basically opposite.
Yes. When it's factors like that, it is just the opposite signs, yes. Alright. I'm going to tell you the last 3 real quick so you can have all your answers. 23 is C. 24 is B. And 25 is B. Okay, 24 and 25 are both fairly short ones. 23, you'd have to FOIL both sides and put it in standard form first. Okay?
Okay.
Alright, have that study guide with you tomorrow.
I don't know if that's